yeah, thank you very much for joining us. The main reason I wanted to do something like this is to really give a platform to Manchester tech businesses and people and tech leaders within the Manchester community and ecosystem. I've only been in Manchester a year, and I already feel sort of part of the community, part of the area, and it's something I'm really passionate about giving more of a voice to. So yeah, thank you very much for joining us, Phil. I don't know if you want to kick us off by sort of introducing yourself and sort of where you're at the minute.
Yeah, sure. Thank you for having me, Mikey. I'm Phil Simpson. To those who don't know me, I'm Head of Software Engineering at Transport for Greater Manchester. I joined as a contractor in June, and I liked it so much, I went perm in August. TFGM, as most people are aware, help keep Greater Manchester moving. So it's not just the buses, it's not just the trams, but it's cyclists, pedestrians. It's way, way more complicated than you can ever imagine. I thought it'd be complicated, but I was only scratching the surface, honestly. It's a really cool place to work. And one of the really interesting things that's going to happen is in the coming months and years, indeed, we're bringing back key rail routes into public control. And if it's even a fraction as popular and as successful as the B network and the buses, it's going to be very, very exciting times and great for the people of Greater Manchester.
Amazing. Well, thanks for the intro, mate. And obviously we've known each other a long time, so it's good to get you in, and just really keen to understand around sort of your current role then at the minute and what that entails.
Yeah, so Head of Software Engineering. Again, trying to not. I always fall into the habit of going too geeky and too techy too quickly. But it's all things development. So your traditional web-based AWS Lambdas backend, but also low code, no code, and then some more traditional. Traditional is probably legacy. Let's call it legacy, such as AS400. There's lots and lots of data. Lots of things we can do, and we're only scratching the surface of our capabilities. There's so much more that we can do, and that's one of the things that I'm really keen for us to show the value that we can bring to TFGM and as a result, people of Greater Manchester.
Amazing. And because how long have you been there now?
Only since June.
Yeah,
Only
it's
since
absolutely flown by.
Oh yeah,
hasn't it?
well, absolutely. It feels like 5 minutes. It has been, again, without going too much into cliche, it has been that stereotypical whirlwind, but the people are great. It's a really lovely environment to work in, and as a resident and born in Manchester or Greater Manchester, certainly, it's lovely to be able to do something that in that very small way makes a difference to my city and the people of my city.
Amazing. And you're in Stockport at the minute, aren't you?
No, I'm from Stockport.
I do have a question. Is Stockport the new Berlin?
I've
That's what I've heard.
Yeah, well, that's the first time I've heard that. It is very much an up and coming area. I lived most of my life in the Stockport area, but the last 13 years, yeah, wow. I've lived in the hills near Wigan. So lovely part of the world called Billinge, right on the northwest tip of Greater Manchester, very close to Liverpool. And being married to a Scouser, I'll stop there because I get myself in trouble.
And obviously great to hear you getting on well at Transport for Greater Manchester, mate. And as you said, is an absolute whirlwind, but it seems like some great challenges and only some more.
Absolutely. So since I joined, we've gone live with T3 or Tranche 3 of the B network. So that is bringing the buses back into public control. Obviously, there are going to be teething troubles, but it has been remarkably successful. And yeah, wow, it's a real load of hard work by everybody involved. And it's something that gives you great pride to being, again, in a very small way, a part of.
Yeah, and we spoke about this before, but being able to work in a place where you see your impact within it, how have you found that?
Well, my last role was what you might call tech for good, and having been around the block and been working in one IT role or another for over 25 years now. These last two roles, it's been really refreshing. Honestly, it puts a smile on your face, and I don't want to sound too cheesy, but honestly, I've really enjoyed it. I really do. I shouldn't say it too much because next time I want a pay rise, I might. No, joking aside, it's been a pleasure and a privilege. He says very cheesily.
Yeah, amazing. And then, so moving into around your tech journey, I'm really keen to understand your introduction to tech and or what you remember of when you sort of first had the bug.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. I have been thinking about this since you've asked me to come and have this chat. And one of my neighbours, and this is aging me now, he had a ZX81. And I remember him programming that and thinking it was the most amazing thing I'd ever seen. And it was just the ball game where you move the paddle, and he programmed it in. It blew my mind.
Was it Pong?
Yeah,
Yeah.
he was definitely. And I think he copied it out of a magazine. It could have been a book. It was such a long time ago. And that definitely, I think, was the start of it. And then early first or second year in high school, I used to hack Football Manager computer games. And then none of my friends could understand why I was so good, and it was because I cheated. And I guess it started from there. It was something I always wanted to do. I actually took a bit of a tangent and did an engineering degree. In my defence, it did have computer in the title, but it was a mechanical engineering degree. And I worked in pubs when I left university because there was no work at the time. But it was always a passion, so I bought myself a computer, taught myself how to use it, and then tried to get jobs. And certainly the first job wasn't really a tech job, but the next job certainly was. And I was it was called an IT manager, but the department was one, which was just me, and I just had to do everything. So I had a Unix network, an NT4 network, again, aging myself. I used to have to fix printer blocks and jams, and but I built their first ever website. I did a printing program. I did just about everything, and it was really good. After that, I worked for a small software company, did tech sales, but again, I did everything. I used to have to do training courses, and it was a really fab company to work for. And then I worked for a big company after that, and that's where I would say, development career started.
Yeah.
And then I've done pretty much every role in IT since then, apart from maybe CIO. In greater or lesser areas of responsibility. Yeah, it is something I enjoy. It's something I've always enjoyed. So, if you spend a third of your life at work, if you can do something you enjoy, it makes the time go a lot quicker.
And it's really interesting because why I think I love this area and the tech scene is because there's not like one set path to get into it. Obviously, as you can go to computer science degree or go down that route, but everyone's got their own particular journey, and a lot of it starts out as being a hobbyist. And there's not a lot of careers. But I wasn't a hobbyist recruiter before getting into it, but it's amazing people can go in and follow their passions and then make a living out of it and then make a real career.
No, that's definitely true. Speaking personally, if I didn't work in tech, it'd still be my hobby. I still tinker in my spare time. I'm building Alexa skills at the moment. Anyway, or maybe topic for another discussion, maybe sometime. But some of the best developers I've had who've worked for me, excuse me, full of a cold, have been, how would I describe it? Hobbyists again. Yeah. So they'd not necessarily got the computer science degree, and anybody who doesn't have a computer science degree shouldn't think that's a reason for them not to try and get a career in tech. I personally, I always want to make opportunities for people. And I genuinely think if you're willing to take a step back to take two steps forward, then you should absolutely do it. Again, at the risk of repeating myself, you spend a third of your life working, and IT careers can be well rewarded, but it's not easy money. It's something that you have to really work at, because all the whole world's changing all the time, but tech in particular, it changes, especially in the development side of things. There's always a new JavaScript framework, for example. So if you don't enjoy learning, if you don't enjoy trying new things and learning the way that the systems work and the frameworks work, then it's hard work.
What would you say the main skills then for someone to be involved in that area? And I appreciate it can be different for different industries, but like the overall ones. If you touch on like learning and
Be interested, be curious, be willing to try things. Don't be frightened to ask for help. Don't think you know everything. And just because you're a great developer doesn't mean that you're great at everything else as well. There's always that. I see so many times people who are rewarded for great performance, and to try and reward them for that, they're given promotions into people management positions. Well, people management's really, really different to tech, more generally. A great developer doesn't make a great manager or a
yeah,
great people manager, but that doesn't mean they can't. So be the best at what you're doing. So I didn't have that computer science background. So when I got my first IT jobs, I wanted to make sure I was the best I could possibly be
yeah,
at whatever it was I was doing. So say I was a developer, I was going to be the best developer I could be. So I did all the study, and then I tried things, and I experimented, and I did hours and hours and hours in my own spare time. And again, it's my hobby. It's something that I
your
enjoy doing.
passion.
It's my passion. Yeah. And if you've got that passion, it's easy. And if you think of yourself as a bank account, the more you invest, you get those compound gains, and it pays back. But nobody can do that for you. You can only do that for yourself. And that motivation is often the hardest thing.
And there are different routes into sense of being an individual contributor if that's something you enjoy. But obviously,
Yeah.
it leads me nice into my next question around how has the journey been from starting in tech to the leadership role you are in now?
Um. Again, that's a really difficult question to answer. Um, it's had its ups and downs. It has very much been a case that I've had to learn from my mistakes.
Yeah.
Like many fellow geeks, I was rewarded for uh, doing well at the job I was paid to do, and given a small team to look after, but left to sink or swim. And boy, did I sink and stink. I was terrible, absolutely terrible. It was an absolute disaster. And I can only apologize to the guys that worked for me back then. But you do your best, and you learn from your mistakes. You find what works for you and what doesn't. And yeah, it's been a long road. As I say, lots of mistakes on the way, but lots of rewarding parts to it. I never saw myself as a people manager. I always thought I was going to be really techie. And again, what really, I think there's quite a few things that led to it. One of the things was doing one of those psych assessments where you do the colors, and that made me think about myself in a way that I hadn't done. But partly it was a stubborn bloody mindedness where somebody told me I was too technical, that there was always going to be a glass ceiling that I'd never break through. So it was like, I'm going to show you. So I did an MBA, really, really difficult. And to anybody who wants to do or considers doing one, absolutely, it's one of the best things you'll ever do, but go with your eyes wide open, because wow, it takes over your life for 3 years.
And did you do the MBA after you were in the management because you felt I want to be a better manager, or did you do the MBA because you wanted to get into the
Both.
yeah?
So I already had management positions at that point.
And with those management positions, were you sort of as one of the points you made earlier around the natural progression, sometimes you get forced into? Were you pushed into it, or was it you just thought it was what you wanted at the time?
I didn't. It's sort of, again, really, these sorts of looking back on your life kind of questions can be difficult to answer.
Yeah.
It it was more a case that I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I knew that I loved tech. I knew that and I was interested in everything. So I was wanting to try everything. But certainly in your 20s, that line between confidence and arrogance. So I've always been quite shy, but confident. And you know, you think you're a rock star in your 20s, don't you? You think you're brilliant. Absolutely, I wasn't. And you think you know best, and you don't know best. You know what's maybe the best technical solution, but you don't necessarily know what's best for the business because there's so much more to it. That again, as a techie, you're not necessarily aware of, and learning the the business language, for want of a better way of putting it, definitely helped. But it opens your eyes to things. You know, the whole change management, stakeholder management. You know, like as I say, how organisations absolutely how they work. So that definitely made a big difference. But also, I found I actually enjoyed it once I learned a better way of doing it. That you can do more as you can do more with the team than you can as an individual. However good you are as a developer or whatever tech stream you work down, you know, you could be the best DBA in the world, but you can do more as a team than you can do as an individual. And again, maybe a bit of arrogance in my youth. I didn't like to be told what to do in terms of from a technical perspective, certainly. And so thinking that you know better, you want it's not a control thing, it's more a wanting to do a great job, and you can do a better job but again as a team.
Is that the thing you feel you've enjoyed the most then, is the, or it's a better job? What, like, you mentioned
It's
you something you enjoyed more when you got into it. Was there any particular thing that
I enjoyed the people side of things, and I re and people isn't just the team, it's the stakeholders, it's the interactions, and again, as a kind of an introvert, I'd never believe that. I honestly, oh god, I was so shy, and people find it hard to believe now, but by putting myself in these uncomfortable positions and constantly, you know, making myself have to get through it, then you find that you open up. But the people side of things, I love helping people grow and develop and give people opportunities and help them be the best, certainly work version of
yeah.
themselves. But I enjoy talking to stakeholders, helping them with their problems and interacting with people. And certainly COVID has taught me that I really miss the office. I love
Yeah.
being in the office and I found I actually get my energy from being around people, which again, I'd never believed.
Yeah.
So a bit of a rambly answer,
No, no,
is,
mate,
but,
and I think it's great, like, as one of the things that I personally feel is one of the most important is, if you're a sort of people leader, is to have that passion to want to progress the people you work with. Because I always remember the the leaders I've worked for, and if you look up to them, and if you as a leader, you've got to hold yourself to the highest standards, but if you care, if you genuinely care, that can be seen. If you don't, that can also be seen, because people inherently are quite transparent, I believe, when it comes down to, especially if you spend a lot of time with them. So it's great to see that you feel
yeah,
that way.
I agree, but I would also say everybody is different. And again, that's something that I've learned, that not everybody, but obviously, but no one person thinks the same as another. And just because I wanted to push myself and make myself the best version of this, that, or the other, doesn't mean that somebody else has that same drive or same hunger. It has definitely helped me with recruiting, in that, again, without going to MBA speak, but those Belbin team roles, there's a place for everybody in a team,
100%.
and you don't want everybody who's exactly the same.
I
Uh,
think it's important though, so people know they've got the option, as opposed to like forcing people down a path they don't want. Is at least they know they've got the option to be able to. They've got a leader who will give them the option if they want to just do a really good job and just get that job done.
there's
If they want
definitely a
to,
place for that person,
yeah,
yeah.
no, I agree. And then you, is there anything in particular? I know you meant when you first started, you felt you weren't that good, or you made mistakes. Sorry, but is there anything you feel that you would have done differently in particular, like that stands out? Or
Loads of things. So when we were talking about the introversion and putting myself in uncomfortable positions, I can partly thank my wife for this, but maybe start earlier. One of the things that I've talked to you about before was my dad. He gave me what was sort of good advice, but not necessarily if I hadn't fully thought it through. So he always recommended that you stay in a job as long as you're learning something. Well, in tech, you're always learning something, at the latest framework, as I say. And I definitely trod water for a few years, whereas I was just learning more of the same things, not different things, and not pushing myself and growing. So definitely would have, I think that's something I would have focused on. But ask, don't be so polite. People want to help. Most people are decent people, and it's quite flattering to be asked for your advice and your help. So I should have definitely done that, because focus if you don't have that clear goal, and lots of people starting out in the tech careers don't have that, then it's very easy to do a bit of this, a bit of that, bit of that. And really you need to go, well, okay, I'm going to try that for now and just really go for that. And then if that doesn't work out, you've still got time, and that time isn't wasted. So yeah, other than that, visibility trumps ability. Really cheesy again, but it's so true. It's not enough to do a great job. You've got to be seen and be known and have that show up all the time. And then the last piece of advice is don't make yourself irreplaceable. That's definitely happened to me earlier in my career. Oh, Phil's doing a great job. We can't promote him because we'd lose him doing what he's doing, and I see that happen. And it you want to do a great job. People work in tech, I think, definitely in the development space, because the creative, the conscientious, you want to do a great job. But if you do too good a job, they call it the hero developer, don't they? Then it actually will hold you back. It's counterintuitive, but it's very, very true.
Yeah. And for someone transitioning from a tech role where they've been doing it a while, but then moving it down to that leadership, what would you say? Were there any particular challenges or any other challenges that stood out for you that'd be good that you could share? That hopefully people will be aware of when it.
No surprises on the challenges. People are always a challenge. The people side of the role is the most rewarding, but it's also the hardest side of things. And I guess politics for me personally, is the worst side of that. I'm not a politician. But you don't need to be political, but you do need to know that politics are going to happen whether you like it or not. You can't bury your head in the sand. It will happen, so you need to be aware of it, and make sure that you don't drop yourself in a situation that could have easily been avoided. And I've definitely made that mistake. Other than that, energy levels in leadership positions, from my perspective at least, it's really, really important that you keep those energy levels high, because people look to you. You don't, especially when you first start out, you don't realize that people are looking at you all the time and looking to you. So you need to be on your game. So be careful with your energy levels. Be kind to yourself, and don't try and do too much, because again, starting out, it's a very easy mistake to make, to go, I'm just going to do this and do everything. And I've definitely made that mistake, and you burn yourself out, and it takes you time to get, and damage can be done to your reputation and personally as well. So definitely keep an eye on those energy levels, and it helps you keep calm, helps you make measured decisions and do the right things. And you know, if you weren't there, the job wouldn't be being done. So be kind to yourself. There's only so much you can do. Make sure you delegate. And again, early in your career, it's like, oh well, I could give it to team member X or Y, but I could do such a much better job. Well, you're actually holding them back by not giving them those opportunities.
Yeah, that was going to be one of the things I mentioned, is around like that delegation piece. Like,
Yeah.
it can be scary to sometimes give something up, and sometimes you can do too much, and all of a sudden you're being detrimental to your team. You're not letting them have the opportunity to develop. But also, one of the key things I think I've picked up from what you said is, like, learn from your mistakes. Like, don't be like, no one is perfect. Don't be afraid to make a mistake and then learn from it, because that'll make you a better developer, engineer, leader, whatever in anything you're doing. So And obviously, it's great to hear about your journey, but like Manchester in particular, as I mentioned at the start of it, obviously I've been here a year and I absolutely love the tech community, the tech ecosystem. Um, what do you feel makes the Manchester tech scene special?
Um, Again, we spoiler alert, we have had a chat about this, but I completely
You're
agree.
ruining the secret.
It is all about the people. My career definitely wouldn't have been as rewarding if it wasn't for the tech scene in Manchester. I think it's a northern thing. Sorry, Mickey. Oh, you are northern now. But there's definitely an inclusivity. There's a warmth. But from the tech scene, there's such a wide variety of things. But no matter what the thing, so whether it be data or development or agile or it doesn't matter. It's also people are so passionate and so enthusiastic and just throw themselves into it, and so many people give up the time without reward, which is brilliant to see. So I love to be able to give back when if and when I'm able to, because it definitely has made a huge difference for me. So yeah, it's if as an example, last night I went to a British Computer Society. So British Computer Society have been around for many, many years, but they had an event at Met last night on AI. Great event. But I'm at another one tonight, which is a brand new group, I believe, Manchester AI. So it's a thriving community, and I do think that energy does help people, and it's certainly helped motivate and inspire me, and I hope it does the same for other people.
And I completely agree. So when I was first in the process of moving up to Manchester and going out and meeting the community and going to various events and meetups, it really reinforced why I'm doing this. I've never seen an ecosystem so intertwined and so well connected, but also so many people willing to help other people within it. So I was obviously I'm a blowing up here, and then people understanding like they've also been in the same boat as me, whether they're from Manchester, they're going to be new to the tech community, or whether they've moved here as well. So I completely agree. It just reinforces it day by day. And appreciate you've been in Manchester for a long time, and like even the last year for me feels like there's such a buzz about the place, and the boat hasn't been missed. And then what do you feel Manchester does differently then to other tech hubs like London or Silicon Valley or somewhere in Europe?
Um, it's again, that's an impossible question to answer. It's Manchester is big enough, but it's absolutely small in comparison to the likes of London. I'm down in London only tomorrow, but it's only a 2-hour journey on the train. So it isn't so far away that you can't get to it. It's not inaccessible. Throughout my career, I spent many days down there. But being northern is a badge we all wear with pride, I think. We and it is something that I think we all strongly believe in. I know I do. And so I do think that it helps with that sense of community. Again, I know I'm repeating myself, but that inclusivity and the warmth and we're all in it together, and we'll show those guys down in London.
No, I 100% agree. There's that real, it's a real pride of people from Manchester, but also the people who have moved to Manchester being adopted within that culture. You don't come in and bring your own system, but you conform to to being a part of that Manchester buzz, and it's generally so exciting to be part of it.
Yeah, look, I'm biased, Mickey. I'm from Stockport. I've lived here all my life, or most of it. I've got real warmth in my heart to lots of places. I love Bristol, for example. I love Chester and many other places. But this is my city, so I'm always going to speak highly. And I do like London as well. By the way, it's not.
And I think that's why I really wanted to give a platform to someone like yourself who's passionate about Manchester. And like I said, Manchester does have everyone's talking about it, but I think the people within Manchester are what make it. And
Such a different city, Mikey, though. Honestly, when I was a boy, I used to come in and I was such a geek, and I'm embarrassed to share this, but I used to get the train in and go to Games Workshop, and it was a very different city then than it is now.
Well, thank you very much. It's definitely a lot of really helpful information for people who kind of go through a similar journey. And I know me and you could sit here all day, normally over a pint, talking about Manchester. And it's great to see a blue and a red be able to have a really good, interesting chat. And I think that's what tech does. But I really appreciate you coming in. Thank you very much. And yes, honestly, it's amazing we've known each other a long time. It's amazing to hear about your journey in more detail. And it could definitely tell how passionate you are about Manchester and the tech community. So thanks for sharing.
Always great to catch up, Mickey. See you soon.